We're always working through this process, but we do improve constantly, getting this technology better and better. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll open this meeting. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, thank you. Call this meeting to order. We have the previous minutes. Do all the committee members have the minutes from the previous meeting? Anybody see any omissions or corrections? Any questions? Give you a minute to take a look at it.
The only thing I wanted to make sure of is that I had the right date for Ekeen's deliverable. It said
His to SE Group?
it said economic research report by October 18th. So I just wasn't 100% sure I had that exactly.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get her.
We're going to keep working with that. Okay, we can go back and check that.
I think I'm right.
You always are right.
Mhm.
Get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
So
Second.
Yes, I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes passed. Okay. While, Mayor, you want to tee this up for us? We have a special guest here tonight.
Yeah, happy to do that. So you all will recall when we first established the Community Plan Advisory Committee, we also identified a number of senior advisors who could help the committee to be able to understand different things that are happening in our area. And so we have two of those advisors here. Pat Jenkins is now on the City Council, but we also welcome today Brian Daniels. So Brian is CEO of Bluff Partnership and operates a visitor center under the auspices, Brian, correct me if I don't get this right, Smoky Mountain Tourism and Development Authority. Okay. And so Brian's going to come and share with us some perspectives, in particular about things that are happening up at the visitor center. That's a very significant part of our community, and so I thought that would be useful for him to come and share with the Community Plan Advisory Committee, along with all the folks that might be in the audience or tuning in. So,
Absolutely.
I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, to the mic.
All right.
Well, I appreciate the invitation to be before you. I was asked to come and talk about the improvements and the direction that we're headed with our event center that we came before City Council roughly 2 years ago, and we're about to complete up the last part of the construction activities as we speak. If you go out there now, you'll see we're about to start paving, which makes us ADA compliant and also helps with a variety of issues that when you have wet soil and that sort of thing, sometimes the rocks stick to the tires and that sort of thing. So we're paving those areas to make it more accessible. So anyway, the goal for us with the event support center is what we call it. As we've been operating events at our visitor center for 40 plus years, they continue to get larger, and they have been community-based events predominantly that we've partnered with a variety of different entities in the community to host and be there. I think for us as an organization, we host ourselves too out of the complete calendar that our Springs and Grits is one, and then Fall Festival. And then we're partners with other community entities like the Townsend Gateway Alliance, they utilize the property for balloon festival and that sort of thing. And that's been our goal, is to provide an asset that the community can leverage to bring activities in. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do in embarking on this development has been to create something that our neighbors do not have. The Knoxvilles, the Pigeon Forges, the Gatlinburgs, they've all got their own dynamic. For us, it's more about the landscape that you have here and leveraging that. And so, for us, we're the ones that coined Peaceful Side of the Smokies. That's actually a trademark that we own and operate. And we created that back in the early 2000s. And then we got about $20 million worth of marketing behind it. So we're really starting to see that come to fruition. But that's all about being a gateway community and doing events and activities that are harmonious with the property and that sort of thing. So for us, when you look at the infrastructure, we're not trying to be all things to all people. We're being very specific on going after events and activities that are more impactful, bring in a higher spending tourist that comes in, will patronize a lot of businesses in not just Townsend, but in the whole Martin County area, and then they leave. And so that allows our operators to provide more services and allows them to generate more revenue that they can plug back into their operations in the community. And so by doing that, by the events and activities that we've targeted, there is a very much more robust infrastructure you have to have in place to recruit those type of entities. And for us, when you go to a lot of events and activities, predominantly in those other tourist-based towns, you have a lot of a hum to events and activities. Could be generators, could be traffic, could be a variety of things. And so there was a lot of care that went into that. We went over with City Council 2 years ago into the development of that event center. One of the things you'll find is we have an infrastructure system that is second to none. We have 50 amp circuits, 2 of each of these pot pedestals. So there's 100 amps total coming off each side and water to each side, so that no vendor has to run its generator. They can plug right in, and so we eliminate that hum that we talk about. We actually, having years that have not been able to have enough property for our events, been able to work with the Myers family to acquire the rest of the farm. A lot of traffic was derived on Myers Road, and Myers Road would always, would be a real road point with folks that would live in that area. So one of the first things we did is we designed a road system. It's a 3-lane road system, so it allows you to bring in 2 lanes of traffic in when you're trying to load an event, and then when you're trying to exit an event, you could switch that and do 2 lanes of traffic out. So you've always got 1 lane that flips back and forward. When it comes to bathrooms, the type of events and activities we're now going for, porta potties, probably just aren't going to get it for those events and activities. They won't run any water. So we have over 70 bathroom facilities that are in the facility now, with handicapped and family restrooms. And then we have a full-scale kitchen in there also, because the events and activities could overwhelm some of our businesses here that patronize food. And so we've got that ability to scale up with food trucks. We can plug into our pedestal systems that we have, or we've got a back-of-house kitchen that we have there also. We partnered with Pellissippi State in that we're not going to have events and activities running every day of the week up there. And so for the days that it's not being operated, which are predominantly through the week, we're going to work with Pellissippi State and line their culinary students who are wanting to get into culinary and create a business. We're going to be an incubator and a ghost kitchen for them. Now, they can't serve on property, but they could prepare food there and take it somewhere else for serving. So for us, it's a way of lifting up a whole education system and trying to make this more of a destination for the culinary arts. Peaceful Side Social has done a good job with that, and a variety of other business establishments. Distilling, go through all of them. Ms. Lily, Abby, there's so many different opportunities here. So culinary arts are something we're trying to flip. And we feel like that we can give back in the community to helping those upstarts have an incubator to, get started in and maybe graduate to the future after that. For us, we're trying to have activities up there. The goal would be, as I told City Council 2 years ago, we want something going on kind of all the time over there each week, but, those are in a variety of different levels because there's no way we could accommodate the maximum. There's no way that the pro forma that we have could do the minimums. And so, again, we're not trying to be all things to all people. You have Nog or Nog, you have the Tally Ho that has also event space. So for us, we've priced ourselves in the market for those higher end, more impactful events and activities. The examples of that would be, you saw the Homesteader Festival. The Homesteader Festival had about 1,500 people, but they were charging a gate fee of, gosh, how much? 200 ticket to get inside to, understand how to live on the land. And so for us, it's going to take all shapes and sizes of events and activities, but our goal is for the visitors that are coming through that there's something for them to capture onto and to do as they're enjoying the Smokies and those sorts of things. What questions would you have for me?
Oh, I have about 5,000 questions.
Okay.
I do.
What's great, we go.
But I'd like to defer back to the mayor. I'm sure you have. Okay.
I'm happy for the committee to ask all the questions you want.
Okay.
So I've got a few, I'll listen and see.
Well,
Is there any direction you need to look at?
Well, so first of all, the basis of Mr. Daniels being here is as a senior advisor to CPAC, as it states here. So let's address that first, and we also have Pat Jenkins here too, and then
Kenny Myers.
Kenny Myers is the third.
Senior advisor.
And I'd like to hear from Kenny also. So as a senior advisor to CPAC, how would you senior advise us moving forward as we're developing this community plan? I'll make that the first question.
Well, I guess answer any questions you've got of maybe the types of visitors that we're trying to bring in and populate the businesses we have here. And maybe we could help give you some direction there.
So as
that we see.
non-representing those folks up there, can you be a senior advisor to the CPAC committee without representing who you work for? How would you advise us to move forward in this community plan? Just as the level of information that you have.
I think, trying to understand.
Does that make sense?
No,
So
Are you asking if he's impartial?
no,
Is it advice?
just be a person of knowledge that are making advice to this committee, not who you work for.
Sure,
Not based on the
we
project.
can give you, like, I do that for the county and the cities, Maryland, Alcoa, giving them trends and information of what's happening in a variety of litany of initiatives in economic development, and tourism falls in economic development. So I can tell you about national trends, state trends, local trends.
Okay, now we're okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so I could, help you be a resource for data you're seeking in those areas.
Questions? Christina? Thank you, Brian. Sure.
Yeah, because you're talking about the Blunt Partnership, obviously that's a lot of questions. We don't see a lot
Sure.
from you, so we all have a lot of questions about the Blunt Partnership. So, I don't want to steer this in a direction it shouldn't be, but I guess, I don't know if you've heard of the survey results and how the survey is turning out, but all the residents, well, I'm sorry for saying all, but most of the residents and the visitors all want to kind of keep things very peaceful. And it's all kind of showing up very clearly what everybody's wanting. We kind of get the idea that the Blunt Partnership probably wants something different, like I said, every week something going on. So I just wonder if we're not aligned in our goals, what happens then?
Well, for us, we've always been able to talk through situations. For us, we've complied with zoning for the city. We've gotten our CO. We just spent $10 million. We have a pro forma to operate on. For us, I've not seen us do anything that's detrimental to the community whatsoever. If anything, we try to be very thoughtful in how events and activities coexist with the community. If you see the infrastructure alone that we've put in. So, to say that if the goal is we don't want tourism, I don't know how we ever align, quite frankly.
No, that's not the goal, but the goal is it's a small place with a small road, it's to probably limit, one of my biggest questions probably is this the fairgrounds for Blount County?
I don't think fairground is
It looks like a fair.
well, in your opinion, I disagree with you. We will be doing some more tree plantings that will make it feel more like a tree vegetation plantings that make it feel more like a park. But, it is an event activity center. We were very open 2 years ago with City Council that this is what we're building, and we spent $10 million. There is not going back to that. So we will operate events and activities there. And we are mindful of the impact it has on the community. We've offered opportunities up for the City Council, the fire department here, them allowing to park vehicles to generate revenue and provide their services to the citizens. That is not a requirement, but it is a way that we're trying to support the city and what it's trying to do.
Yeah, and that is good, we do appreciate that, but we wouldn't need that. We wouldn't need so many resources without all of the activity.
Christine, let me weigh in here, because I fairly disagree with you. And by disagree, I mean, I don't disagree with the fact that there are activities going on here, or that this is a help for tourism in town. But what I disagree with is the premise that all activities in town are bad. Because I see when the Fall Fest goes off, or the other things that are targeted to what the likes and preferences are of the people in town, specifically to the likes and preferences that it's celebrated. But when you get something here that might be a Jeep festival that may not have a large number of Jeeps that are in town, we see some really nastiness from our community members. And so what I heard was that the grounds themselves have been built fairly thoughtfully. I mean, I would agree some more vegetation would be cool and some less open space, but we'll get there. It takes years for that sort of stuff to build up. And your point about generators, it's such a minutia point in events, but it is so important in how we do this and the infrastructure that goes into making events as I'm sorry to say it as enjoyable as possible for people that come in is really down to how thoughtful event planners are in the space that they build. And as Mr. Daniels just said, right, everything has been complied with what our city has put into place. The process we are going through right now really has nothing to do with what their plans are for the space, because as Brian said, they have complied with the city. So it is our job now to put the boundaries in place that they must comply with. That's our job here.
Exactly.
But your question is not taking necessarily a stance of how can we take this as an organization, or as a town, and create something that is beneficial for all. Rather, we're trying to hold the partnership's feet to the fire to tell them that they can't do something that they're allowed to do right now. They're allowed to do whatever they want to an extent up till 10 o'clock with sound. We have light ordinances,
Well,
right?
I don't know, I think you're going in a different direction than I was, to be honest with you. My question is based about 20 years ago, when it was a fairgrounds talked about in Blount County, and now it seems like and that's really what my question is this the fairgrounds? Is this where Blount County is going to be concentrating on?
So where when you talk about fairgrounds, you you talk about rides, you talk about carnival food, you talk about those things. That's not what we're going after at all. That's not. Now, if you're talking about what we do, like with the Towns and Gateway Alliance, when they do the Balloon Festival, those are the type of things we're doing. Or the food festival that we're bringing back before City Council. Those are the things that we're about. So, to me, that's not fair.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think you're catching up with what I was saying. I guess I really like the balloon festival until it all of a sudden became humongous. So now it just seems really big, and where are we going? And what happens if we have different ideas in the community as far as what you guys have?
So as it relates to that, that would be an issue to take up with the Towns and Gateway Alliance, because that is their event. Like I said, we built the assets so that, different entities can leverage it for their activities. And we're not about things that create a lot of noise and nuisance. I think me and the mayor talked about, they had that small war festival that came through once, and we didn't want them back. And so that was one nothing. I think they even came back somewhere else in town. So that for us was, something that we were like, nah, it doesn't really add value to what we're trying to do. But again, I point back to, I'm not seeing anything that has been a nuisance.
Yeah, I guess I will probably agree with that and just say that, and as Akeem always says, don't worry, don't always be based in fear, but it is a fear, it's based on fear.
Sure. I get it.
I just want to thank you for being here. I think that oftentimes when we are coming to conflict, or when there are disagreements, or when there are just differences of opinions, we find the solution in talking to each other.
Sure.
And I think that that's really valuable to have you here. I think that it is, obviously, there's a big conflict between tourism and residents. And I think that as a gateway city, we are welcoming so many people. And what happens is the residents start to feel like a doormat. And so we need to recognize the opportunities that we have to work together and try and find the solutions in that. And I think that's what this committee is trying to do, is look at, tourism is a huge part of this economy. It's not going away. It's something that is here. It's important. So what can we do to better support the tourists in a way that allows those tourism dollars to better support the residents? And so, I think that's going to come through this work. It's going to come through figuring out where are those pinch points, where are those challenges. Like, I for one would love to see more trees up there. I think that would be great. I'm the environmental passionate one, so I want to see things like that. And I think that that's really comes through dialogue. So thank you for giving us opportunity to even voice, some frustrations, to open up and receive feedback and bring that to people who are in a decision-making capacity, because complaining about it, online and social media isn't always going to find the solution. It will make you feel better temporarily, but if without putting into place a land use and transportation plan that clearly defines what can and cannot be done, then there is no oversight.
So I appreciate the comment. There is no one that wants to finish construction quicker than I do. And, that's been a very heavy lift for us. That is the single most expensive tourism project we've ever undertaken, period, by a long shot. And like I said, we just finished up the surface grading, which allows us to channel more of the surface waters that run from the property into the detention pond. And now that we have that completed and the paving's coming down, then we can start back with now the vegetation. And it's the last piece of all of it that we plant in the fall. So we'll start to see that vegetation start planting. I would speak highly of your mayor here. Since he's been in office, he's kept an open dialogue with me, even in tense moments. And has taken the time to come over and have dialogue with me when there have been these points, and I have done the same with him. So keeping that dialogue between us is a good resource for both parties. Because I think at the end of the day, we want the same thing, to have a community that is open to tourists, but is not a distraction. So, again, I can't stand before you and say that we'll ever be a part of no tourists, but I don't think that's what anybody's saying here.
Hang on, let me skip the mayor in here, please.
Thanks very much, Brian. Thanks for coming and talking to us a little bit. I hope it won't be the last time. We're undertaking this process. We're going to have some really important discussions over the next few months. The Visitor Center and the Event Support Center up there is a feature of our community. Just like the river is, just like the mountains are, just like our local businesses are, our neighborhoods. It is a feature of our community. We like to think that we're a little bit different, that we have something that's pretty unique and special here in Townsend. That's the reason why people come to live here. It's the reason I want to live here. But it's also the reason people want to visit here. And I think for a long time, we have been a gateway community. When I was a kid, my uncle raised corn around the house, but I don't know that there's a whole bunch of, there's certainly not around our house, agricultural activity going on. But tourism is part of our community, just as the mountains and the water and everything else. And so we're trying to figure out where the sweet spot is. Where are those synergies? What we saw in the survey coming back is that people want to come to Townsend because there's proximity to outdoor beauty. I've heard many people as they drive by that site that you have with the event center, event support center, and say, you know, I can see the mountains. I can't go to the other side of the mountain necessarily and drive down the road and still see the mountains. People want to come to Townsend because they can still get into the river, tinkle their toes a little bit. It's still safe. It's water comes right out of the park. We're very interested in that as a community. All these things are coming through in our survey. Light pollution, dark skies, these are other things. So clean water, pure air, to the extent that we can navigate forest fires and things like that. But these are all things that we want to incorporate in our community plan, and I think they're the common element why people want to live here as well as visit Townsend. We have to be able to preserve what makes Townsend special. I mean, one of the things I really come to appreciate since I've been there is Townsend has a tremendous amount of goodwill. Now, you can go anywhere in the county and mention Townsend. What's the first thing people say? Oh, I love Townsend. Well, there's a reason for that. And so we want to make sure that that reason stays true, and I think we can do that. One of the things I know that as you're developing that center up there is looking for opportunities to where that can mesh well with our residents, maybe provide some opportunities and things that we couldn't have otherwise. Certainly economic impact is understood, but there might be some things that, would be beneficial to our residents that I think people would enjoy. And then I also heard you say it, to minimize the impact on our residents for some of those things that are challenging whenever you have people and vehicles and things moving around. And so as we develop our residents and our visitors and our environment and make sure that we're doing the best that we can do by it. And it sounds like, there are a number of similar goals that y'all share there. So as we get a little further in this plan, I'm sure we'll come back and pick your brain and maybe ask you a few more questions about what's happening. I think it's going to be important because anytime we look to the future, what is Townsend going to look like in 10 years or 20 years? We're establishing that foundation now, and the things that we do will be very impactful. It's very hard to undo things. And so we're trying, as part of this community plan, to really be intentional about where things are organized, where are people going to live, how are we going to continue to, have a high quality of life. I mean, I hear people out west in some of these mountain communities say, oh, we moved out here because we have a high quality of life. I can walk around, I can, do a lot of things. Well, we think we have a very high quality of life here. We want it to be even better. We want the water to stay pure, the air, the skies, and we think we can do that. And as we engage with you and the Event Support Center, then I think, we'll have to try to take those things into account. And I think as you see the survey results, and if you come to some of the events that we're having this coming week, we've got a big week with all kinds of different events and you'll start to see some of those survey results. And there's a lot of opportunities for synergy there. And it's our job as a committee, as community stakeholders, to try to find those synergies, and I know you'll help us.
Sure. I've got a sheet that's got the different amenities and the design of the event center I can leave with you. So from, you were talking about light pollution, all of our lights are LED directional, so there isn't that light pollution. And then the sound system that communicates in case of emergencies, and a camera system and a microphone system that goes into 911 and helps provide security so that we can try to tackle all that. So along those lines, it helps. What you're talking about is the same things that's in our mind as we were designing the center.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to the mayor's point, and everybody involved, moving this document forward is a very complex process. There's a 360 degrees of opinions in this. And Ryan, I appreciate your time. I would just take the case in point here. Thank you very much. Any more questions? Good?
Thank you.
Thank you. I would, since we do have another senior advisor here, I'd like to see if Pat Jenkins would like a few minutes to offer some senior advice. No disrespect to your age, Pat. No. Senior is a
Senior in the room.
sign of wisdom. As a senior advisor, in the same process as Brian and Kenny would be advising on that level to this committee. Your points.
Okay, I'm Pat, for the record, I'm Pat Jenkins. I have a totally different viewpoint than Dan, but I'm going to try to voice it my way. When we did the original community plan, we tried to look at basic things like urban growth boundary, zoning, where we thought growth ought to be. We didn't try to necessarily say, if you're going to have a campground, it's got to be here. Because one of the unique things I think we have about Townsend is the variety of businesses and residents as you go through town. It's not like you go through the hotel district, you go through the restaurant district. And I think what people find unique is we have a whole variety. I'm really worried that the citizens are going to experience gentrification. They're going to be pushed out as if things grow without bounds. The festival stuff, we all got our opinions about it. It all depends where you're standing and sitting. But for instance, the seafood festival that we turned down last month is an example of something that doesn't belong here. Fortunately, the commission decided not to give them a permit. When they talk about paving over the parking area, I don't know how much they're paving, don't know how much GDAC's approved. But I think about a Joni Mitchell song, and you guys too young to know Joni Mitchell.
Well, no, I know which song you're going to
One of
reference.
the old taxi, one of the old school bus, whatever it's called. That's what that reminds me of.
Might be young, isn't it?
So I'm waiting for the tree museum to show up. But I'm really for the citizens, I'm for the bicycle trail, I'm for the hundreds of people that walk down my street every day. We have a unique place, we need to try to keep it unique, and we've all got a different vision of how that occurs. And you guys have a big job, but I challenge you to go back now, after you've been working on this for 6 months or 9 months, to take out the original community plan and read it from cover to cover. There's things in there that are antiquated, but there are things in there that are really interesting and might help you guys as you move forward. Some of it's good reading and some of it's pretty horrible. but I challenge you to read the whole thing. It might help you. You might be able to select nuggets out of it that help you. But the last thing I want to say is I'm for keeping it the peaceful side of the Smokies, the gateway to Cades Cove, not the festival destination of East Tennessee.
Thanks for your time.
I've got 2 questions for you. We're gonna have questions from the
Okay. And I appreciate me calling you up like that.
Yeah.
Odds man compared.
Okay,
That's all that was right.
A lot of times, we hear growth back and forth, or grow without bounds, or, whatever growth is. Can you define what grow without bounds kind of means to you? So that like, can you define what grow without bounds is the phrase you use, kind of what that means? Because I ask because obviously there are some boundaries on the place, like right now in books that we all adhere to in some ways. Growth is encouraged in certain districts and not in others, kind of to your point about the mixed community versus that. So I'm curious, like, is growth without bounds existing, or is it something that you feel like we might be moving towards? And if you think we're moving towards it, can you kind of help me understand what that might mean?
I think we're rapidly moving towards it. And I think that because 15,000 Jeeps in town is growth without bounds.
Why? That's like, because they're here for like a day, and so I guess I'm confused here.
No, they're here for 3 days.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm confused about is like the boundary, boundary's the wrong word, the intermixing of the lifeblood of our economy, which is tourism here, and having access to the park, and, using the things that are, everyone's right to use, like the roads, all right? Everyone's right to have access to the park. Like, where we're intermixing, like Townsend doesn't have the ability to control the roads, right? But we do have the ability to control physical buildings, physical growth, physical things that come to our community. And I guess I don't understand what growth in the eyes of folks that are here on a very temporary basis means.
I'm sorry, to catch that last one.
Growth, that when you define growth as folks that are here on a very temporary basis, how that is without bounds, because there are natural boundaries, just in the world. And so if you say that folks that are here for a day or two is growth without bounds, how do you close the road? And that's a serious question, because the road is state run, right? And so I'm really interested to hear your take on like ways that we can put guidance into our document and into our vision to limit folks that are here on a temporary basis.
Well, first of all, you're right. The same person doesn't come here weekend. Each weekend, it's a different person taking that spot. When there are 15,000 Jeeps and you say it doesn't affect me, you're wrong. I couldn't get out on
I
the
didn't
street.
say it doesn't affect you.
Okay, I'm not going to argue, but
I'm just
You
trying
know,
to be
it doesn't-
clear about what I said.
it doesn't, when you say that you can't control the roads, you can control the things that contribute to the traffic on the roads. You can control the things that I guess contribute to the road. For instance, if you have a festival like the one they were talking about, back in the old days there were 2 festivals a year, and one of them, this least recent one they had where they were talking about homesteading and stuff, is very typical of the kind of festivals we used to have here in Townsend. And they weren't meant to attract 1,000 people. They were meant to attract the local people that wanted to celebrate getting together. And so I think this one, the Homesteader one, was a perfect example of the right kind of festival for Townsend, because it didn't attract 10,000 cars. If you want to have a festival that attracts 10,000 cars, you get the Pebble Beach antique car move here, and you can have 100,000 cars here on weekend. So what you select to promote affects what you can have on the road. I'm not saying we have a toll booth out here to stop people from coming into town. I'm saying you gotta carefully select what the town promotes to help make life peaceful side of the Smokies. And you need to remember, 49% of the people that live in Townsend are over the age of 55. So they've got a different opinion than they ought to have moved here because it was peaceful side of the Smokies. It's not like the fact that there's a few more restaurants here in town than there was 40 years ago. But a large percentage of those don't like the fact that there are more lodging facilities that are trying to get approved or have been approved. Because the more lodging, it helps support the bigger festivals. So I know you can't tell people what to do, but you can put things in place that influences what they do. And I think festival size is one of those things that influences the life here in Townsend.
You said that we have the opportunity to promote what we want to happen here. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
That is our opportunity. And so I have
Go ahead.
2-3 years ago, we introduced the idea of the City Commission introduced the idea of a ban on, I'm not sure if it was new business permits or events, whatever it was, that were nothing but Southern, Eastern Appalachian culture, something to that effect. And what we kept asking for as a community was the willingness to define what that means in writing, so that we all work from a playing ground. Pat, I could not disagree with you more that your opinion and that the commission's opinion has the right to deny a permit for an event just because you don't like its content. That is not in writing anywhere, and if that is something that our community wants, we must work to define that. Because having personal belief get in the way of what a government does and what we approve, like that is a personal opinion that does not have any sort of fact base behind it in our law. And so if we're going to do that, let's do it. Like, let's have the guts to define what it is. Because up until now, this city has not had the guts. And if we're going to have the guts, let's do it.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that I've observed is, we have sound ordinances, we have light ordinances, and some of the festivals have not taken those things into account, and they've inconvenienced the people that live here tremendously. I think better control on those things is something that can help the community continue to be the peaceful side of the Smokies. You need to be able to go out here and watch the comet fly by at night, and you need a dark sky to do that.
Next to those clouds.
Yeah, well, you need no rain clouds too. I put it off, I didn't watch last night. So lighting standards are really important. Speed limits are really important. Those kind of things help control what's going on. Now the festival grounds up here have big investment that they're trying to pay for, and I understand that. But all the homeowners have investments that they consider to be big, and we need to consider that. But I challenge you to read the original plan from cover to cover, not just pieces of it. I saw Sandy has hers with her. I'm sure she's read it because she was involved in it originally. So anyway, that's my opinion. Totally unprepared. If anybody's got any other questions, I'll answer them.
Thanks, Pat.
If not, I'll sit down and keep my mouth shut.
We're good. Thanks, Pat.
Okay.
I want to make sure, since you were in the room and you held that title, that you had a chance to speak too. So you can see the synergy in the conversation. This conversation, so everybody understands here, and the committee definitely does. You can see the committee is of different walks of life here. This is good for what we're doing. This is very good. Like I said, there's 360 degrees of thinking. That's 360 different opinions that we need to walk through to come up what is best for town moving us forward. Respecting the past, respecting the future, and how we're all going to keep this quality of life. That's why I moved here 37 years ago. That's why I stay here. This quality of life is, as we went through working with the consultant, and we're going to get into our consultant who's
Patiently waiting.
she was patiently waiting, but I didn't want to give, that's why I was kind of talking with Mr. Oldham here, is I wanted to have this conversation. It was just kind of spurred on here, and it's good to have. There's no right, no wrong. Don't, everybody who's going to walk out with bad feelings, don't. This is all good to have. But it is complex. It is the future of Townsend. And though it might be taking some time, I think Townsend is worthy of the time and the effort to come up with this type of document moving us forward. With all opinions. I live here too. I go through the same process that the Jenkins go through. And then I respect, Brian's opinion and the hotels and motels and all the businesses and respect what these folks out here in this community do. So somewhere in the middle, just understand this. I think we'll all have to gain something and give something to make this document the best we possibly can. Any final comments before we move on to the...
Make sure our technology works.
Okay, we're going to make sure our technology works.
You'll have Ida, if you'll...
Okay, let's get to our consultant, because we've had her on hold here for a while. If you can come to the meetings, you know that we've contracted SE Group, and we have Ida, who's been a regular part of our meetings for the past probably 3 meetings now or so. And they are assisting us with the complex part and the technology part and the word cloud, I guess that is, and all the stuff that's going on. And a big part of the survey, and then we'll get to, after this is over, we'll kind of segue into what's coming up this weekend and what's going on. So I'll turn it over to Ida.
Can you hear me okay?
There you go, Ida. We can hear you.
Thank you all so much. This has been a really incredible conversation. I'm really inspired by the passion and advocacy and diversity of opinions that everybody has brought to the table. So I'm privileged to be part of this conversation. My name is Ida. I'm here with SE Group, and we will be in Townsend in just a few days. So today, what I have prepared for you is a brief overview of what to expect at our open house that we'll be hosting, share with you some of the background and site visit objectives. I also have a condensed version. We produced a large document of all the survey results and findings, and then have worked closely to condense that down to a really bite-sized 3 pages that I'll be introducing to you all tonight and then sharing in as print here in just a few days, and then sharing the next steps as well. All right, and we'll go on to the next slide here. So if you haven't heard, please join us on Friday, October 18th from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Great Smoky Mountains Heritage Center at the amphitheater. We will be gathered there with representation from CPAC, from EFED, as well as SE Group. And we'll be hosting a community event to really engage you all and share an opportunity to gather a broader first-hand understanding from all backgrounds, all walks of life, in and around Townsend to really help to inform the comprehensive plan and making sure that as we work through this process, we're hearing from a vast age group, from residents and business owners, from visitors. And we had an opportunity to find alignment, find foundational opportunity, and align a document that advocates for the citizens of Townsend and finds foundation, even potentially common ground around what everybody who is choosing to live, work, and play in Townsend is looking for. These next slides are examples of some of the ways you'll be encouraged to engage in this process at the open house. So again, looking for alignment, whether that be amenities, services, or infrastructure to improve and enhance the quality of life in Townsend. Opportunities to share your opinions about what a balanced community looks like, how to make sure that there is common ground and understanding around how to find language to align strategy and communicate that as a foundational document at large. So these are just two of the many opportunities you'll have for engagement on Friday at 4:30 in the afternoon. But I'll save those others for when you come to see us on Friday. I'll take a quick pause there for any questions regarding the open house.
Dave, do you have any questions, or Katie or Don, is there anything you'd like to add to the conversation before Ida moves on? Ida, we have a bunch of shaking heads, they're still on you.
Okay, sounds good. From here, I'm excited to move forward to share some of the condensed survey results. And the next 30 slides will be available as a printed copy for attendees and residents to take home with them on Friday. But I wanted to give you all a sneak peek today of the culmination of those survey results in the PowerPoint version, if you will. And ultimately, what we're seeing is an incredible turnout. We had 849 survey responses submitted, and 94 of those were complete surveys. The remaining percentage, looked at a few questions or didn't make it quite all the way to the end, but we still appreciate everybody's effort. We also have experienced an understanding of what it means to be from not just the city bounds of Townsend, but making sure that we're keeping in consideration Technology Cove and the broader zip code area, and how those residents engage and experience life in Townsend every single day. So what I want to share with you specifically that we garnered is opportunities for alignment. Part of this documentation is looking for foundation and foundational language to be able to discuss what it means to live in Townsend and what it means to visit Townsend, and finding ways to make sure that the residents have a voice and are advocated for, as well as feel like they're not, as someone said earlier, a doormat in this tourism relationship. So here, we can see, again, a lot of alignment. So what residents love is the peaceful and quiet atmosphere, the small town feel, the proximity to nature, scenic beauty and outdoor activities, lack of commercialization, local businesses, lack of overdevelopment, heritage and history, accessibility of grocery stores and restaurants, and the wildlife. And as you can see on the right-hand side, there's a strong alignment in what visitors are looking for as well. As we move forward, we talk a little bit more about what that looks like in strategy and how we can craft language to align with what the residents want to see moving forward. And so here, the residents are interested in seeing less tourism and festivals, affordable housing, regulation of short-term rentals, trash pickup and recycling, local business support, park improvements, control over development, better traffic management, governmental transparency and leadership, and community engagement and local events.
Yeah, Ida, were both sets of people, residents and visitors, shown the same options on these two, what they want to see and what they like about it, or were there unique sets of options for each group?
Great question, Houston. So what the kind of breakdown here was we as a group developed a 17-page document of all the observations that we noticed and felt like were solution-oriented thinking as to the task and the scope of work that we've been provided with. There were a few small kind of breakaway questions, if you will, for both residents and visitors. Some of the breakaway questions for visitors and had good success there. And then for the residents, some of the questions were around what type of amenities they're looking for, specifically thinking about youth and children within the community and how we provide services for those individuals.
Cool, thank you.
But by and large, the primary survey block were all the same. So just two more quick slides for you all here today, and then we'll build for the meeting on Friday. Where we are right now in the process is we have completed phase 1 of our project, working with ETA to gather data, working with you and the community to understand those baseline understandings, the existing reports, the existing development work that has been done, the kind of trials and tribulations that you all are experiencing. And what we are now is wrapping up phase 2 of our first round of community engagement, where we have engaged residents, visitors, stakeholders in building off that survey information. And now we'll be joining you all in person on Friday. We'll be there for just under 3 days, getting in Thursday afternoon and staying through Saturday afternoon. And I really look forward to having this step inform what's to come, which is this winter we'll be analyzing those data, identifying key issues, and developing plan strategies and goals, as well as clear actions forward. And then into the summer, we'll work with you all to refine those recommendations and understanding, garner community feedback, and then begin to turn those ideas, opportunities over to you all and your leaders in the summer of 2025, where you all will take it into implementation mode by fall of 2025. So action items from here, I would encourage you all to join us on Friday for the open house. If you haven't already, please invite your friends and neighbors, give someone a ride, help out where you can. And we're looking forward to being in person here in just a few days.
Yeah, I know one of the things that we've been going back and forth on as we've been planning this is about how we're distinguishing between like folks we've heard a lot from, including from a lot of people that have been to our meetings, that have done the survey. And can you share kind of the solution that your group came up with for how we're distinguishing new voices from the same repeat folks?
Yeah, I would really appreciate the committee's kind of ask of making sure that as newcomers, towns in the area, residents and newcomers are coming to the table at this meeting, we have a way of capturing ideas and first and foremost making folks feel welcome. As we've talked about throughout the video, that's something that Townsend is known for and does well, and we want to make sure that we are part of creating boundaries that create good neighbors, and I think that's kind of culminates a large part of these conversations. But Houston, on Friday, CPAC committee members will be given a few index-sized note cards that'll be up to their discretion to engage with and welcome newcomers to this process at the Friday event. And on the card will be an opportunity for them to share unique ideas, unique perspectives or experiences back with the committee. And we will take all that data and information and make sure that it's incorporated into our future ideas process.
Yeah, thank you. And one of the things that we've talked about from the beginning is that while we did have a digital survey option, we did have paper copies. Some people do communicate better interpersonally and want to talk to you about it, and just want to make sure we're handling that as well as we can, so as you said, so we feel welcome and feel like they can share their, thoughts and opinions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would add with that as well, we have like a kids activity table with, big coloring sheet that kids will get to engage with, and stickers and markers and crayons. And so if you have kids and you're interested in coming and bringing them, we'll have interactive activities for the kids out at the site as well. So just to keep that in mind.
Committee, any questions for Ida? Okay. Ida, we once again appreciate your time. Thank you for bearing with us prior to this presentation. And we look forward to seeing you here in a few days.
Looking forward to it. Thank you all so much. And if you have any follow-ups, feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Just to kind of wrap up the efforts that are that led up to this Friday. I want to thank Christina and the committee. A lot of effort was done on those postcards. We want to thank the city for getting them out. We saved a tremendous amount of cost. The timing was perfect. I ran over to Sevierville and picked them up and ran them back over here and got them in the hands of our city interim city manager, and I got mine at my house with the fall cleanup letter, which I love getting that fall and spring cleanup letter in Townsend. So perfect timing that saved us some postage. Really get beneficial. As you all know, where we can cut costs, we are. And where we need to spend the money, we spend the money. We want that product to be the best it possibly can be. Any continued discussion? Friday, 4:30, I'd say the committee will all be, those that can attend will be all in full force.
Dave, we did just get a 5-minute warning from Gayla for them to use the room, so just FYI.
We're about there. I do know, Mayor, you had a couple other things that we had briefly talked about. I think there was one other point for adding to the committee.
I mentioned this last time. As work is picking up, I think it would be useful to add a couple of additional members to the Community Plan Advisory Committee, so I may go out with a call for expressions of interest and see if we can get a couple more folks from our community to join the Community Plan Advisory.
I think it would also be beneficial to make it a point, if we can get Keeney and Pat and Brian maybe all together at the next meeting. I love this synergy. Maybe y'all don't, but I really love the synergy in the room. I like all these different opinions. So if that so requires that,
Yeah, we can take a look at. I
we
think
should have a lot of information.
We're at the stage now where I think it's useful to get input from our advisors.
Because we all know Kenny Myers has a viewpoint also. Okay. All right, we will.
I have one just quick
Yes,
thing.
please.
At the Board of Commissioners tonight, I'm going to present a grant that I found to help support bringing some funds for the community. And so I hope that y'all will ask questions if you have it. It's an EPA community change grant, so it's primarily to benefit community residents. We're looking at things with the mayor and the city, and everyone's speaking out of turn, but the grant is due very soon, on things like recycling programs and Parks and Rec funding for upgrading and updating some of the facilities and things like that. So just felt it was worth mentioning in this group before I present the information at the following meeting.
Thank you. We look forward to the details.
Trying to find funding for some of the projects that is coming out of the community survey. So
Awesome. Well, I mean, that is the speaking document right now, the survey. So, all right, any committee members, any final thoughts? Okay, we'll go into the good of the community. This is open to any public comments. If you have a public comment, you're welcome to come to the microphone and state your name. Any opinion? Hopefully as it relates to CPAC. You notice I pulled one on you and I got Pat up prior to good of the community. Just checking with you, Pat. All right, all hearts and minds are clear. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Stay tuned for the commission meeting here at 7 o'clock.